Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome to the July/August monthly update. This is the video where we talk about the status of the channel and things that have gone on, games I've played, videos I've made, looking forward a little bit to the channel. And this monthly update will be a little bit unique because for the longest vacation I've had in probably 10 years or more, 17 days where I was away from home, relaxed and recharged now. So I'm excited to be back, but it means that the section where I talk about what I played over the course of the past month is really tiny this month. However, there are a few new things in the house to talk about, and I want to make this almost like a special edition because in the last upcoming Wargames episode, I put up a survey about the types of gaming that people that watch the channel do and the types of episodes that people like on the channel. Almost 200 people replied to that survey. That is the drawing for this month too. We'll do that at the end of this episode for the $50 gift certificate to Noble Knight Games. But to go back to the point at hand, the answers to that survey were very, very interesting to say the least. They really surprised me in terms of, I did not expect most of the answers to come up the way they did. So I'd like to spend a good bit of time talking about those in the back half of this episode, right before we do our drawing. So that'll be the meat of this episode. And without any further ado, let's jump in and get started. However, do want to mention that this episode is sponsored by Noble Knight Games, who is a games retailer. And in addition to games, they sell all kinds of other things, gaming supplies, Dungeons and Dragons supplies, miniature supplies, all kinds of things like that, regular board games, as well as used to new war games in Wisconsin, and they do ship internationally. I did make one purchase from them in the past month while I was gone, which was to get the expansion to the Clockwork expansion to Root, which allows you to play Root solo. I saw some people playing Root in Washington, D.C., and it looked really, really fun, kind of coin-based, but maybe accessible. So I have some people that I think I want to be able to try to bring into that game. But I do want to play it solo, so I was happy to get the Clockwork expansion through Noble Knight's want list feature. So it's been out of print for a long time. And that's one of the things I like about Noble Knight is you can go in, if you see a game you want that they don't have, you put it on your want list. And then when it comes in stock, you get an email for it. That happened. And sometimes the used games, if they're rare, they can be pretty expensive, to be fair. This was a very reasonable priced edition of the Clockwork expansion. So I jumped on it and now I've got it and I can play Root solo. So happy days. Anyway, Noble Knight Games, a sponsor of the channel, and we will be doing the $50 giveaway to Noble Knight Games at the end of this episode. One of the things I like to do in these monthly updates is talk briefly about how things have gone for the channel over the past month. We've got almost 2 months worth of information now. Things went very well. June, I was able to produce 10 videos instead of the poor months of April and May when work kind of exploded. I think it had like 5 and 2 or something like that. So views went from the 60,000s up to the 80,000. So like if you make videos, not people, if you make videos, people will watch them. Surprise, surprise. So it's good to see the numbers picking up. And even though I was gone for over 2 weeks in July here, I was able to kind of have some interviews ready to put up on the channel. And so numbers are in the 80,000s for July as well. And this will be the 7th video. I think that'll go up. And so maybe with a couple days left in July, might make it to 8 or 9 videos there too, despite being away for quite a while. So I'm happy that the output and the time to focus on games and creating videos has been there in June and July. And I'm cautiously optimistic that things are going to be pretty good going forward as well, because that kind of slides over into the next point that I wanted to talk about a little bit, which is one of the things I was trying to do over the kind of the 2 week or so break was to kind of ponder life. I took a bunch of notes and spent some time thinking about things and stuff like that, just away from work, away from YouTube, away from games and things like that, about kind of the meaning of life beyond the number 42, if you would. And I think kind of what I decided to do was what I thought was if I was going to have a YouTube channel and try to work to the degree that I do, I really needed to simplify my life. Now, there are still some inherent challenges with work, but I've got a plan for that going forward, and I think things are going to be better. Shifting into a new role last year didn't help, but without going into a lot of details on that, I'm cautiously optimistic that work will be better going forward. Having said that, the realization was that I needed to kind of not say yes to all the things and to really kind of simplify life in order to be able to focus on the YouTube channel and work, which is kind of family, of course, too, other responsibilities, the things that I really want to value in life. What that means is I've kind of reduced a few non-hobby and other kind of commitments that I had. Gaming wise, one of the things that I'd been doing, and I think a number of people know this over the past few months, I'd been on the work team with ST HistCon, and I've decided to, I let them know that I'm going to step down from that role. I still want to support their cause because I really believe in their message and their mission of diversity in gaming and all they're doing to promote the hobby and the conferences they have. It's fantastic. So I still want to use the channel to help them promote their work. And I really believe in their work. So it's not stepping away completely, but it is stepping away from that work team role, which was, it wasn't a ton of time, but all those little things add up and it was just leaving it. So there really wasn't time to focus on the channel. So I've kind of removed a number of side commitments that I had in life to really simplify things because I really want to make this channel work. It's one of the funnest things that I do. And so going forward, I'm hopeful that things will be a little bit better in terms of time to be able to work on this. Ramble over. Let's move on to the next step. So next up, the Shelf of Shame Challenge. If you're not familiar with this, this was the goal to play 10 games on the Shelf of Shame. Not necessarily make video content on them, but to play 10 games that I've really wanted to play on the Shelf of Shame. And started off really well with the Most Fearful Sacrifice and Pax Pamir, getting those done in February and March. It started in February. And then April and May happened and then being away and stuff like that. It's been stuck there for a while. So hold my head in shame for the Shelf of Shame Challenge, but I'm not giving up yet. I'm going to make progress in the next month. You wait and see. When I come back a month from now, there's going to be more green boxes on this little chart here. The green boxes symbolize what percentage I've played. And as you can see, 2 games complete and still a bunch of games for no here, but we're not giving up yet. So Shelf of Shame Challenge, stay tuned. I promise the next month, there's going to be more green blocks. How's your Shelf of Shame challenge going, by the way, too? A number of people had started out on something similar. Hopefully you haven't done as badly as I have over the past 3 or 4 months. Let me know down below in the comments. I'm going to talk briefly about games played over the past month, but it's embarrassingly little. There wasn't really any time to play in the past kind of while I was on the road and things like that. But so that left, I had to kind of think back what I played before then, because I just got back 2 days ago. So I haven't played anything yet since coming back. But I had to think what I played before that. And before you go away on a trip, there's always this kind of rush of stuff to do. So there really wasn't much time to play in the few days before I left, which meant that I had to kind of rack my head to think about what I played towards the end of June and very early beginning parts of July. There were 3 things. One was a couple games of Burning Banners with solo pub battles. We played together twice. That was really fun. That game I really like. I want to play more because I think some of the factions you have to kind of figure out how to play and things like that. And some of the larger scenarios I think are going to be a lot of fun. But I did enjoy my time with that one. And then the solo one that I did was War of 1812. I made a video on that just before I left, which was fun to play too. Still haven't beaten it, but I want to beat that soon. That's a fun little game. And then the last thing was Alex from the Players Aid was in town, and Jeff Dreyer organized a group of 5 of us to play Crisis 1914. We had a marvelous, fantastic, very tight game of that. Kevin Featherly also played local Minnesota. He is a member of the Patreon too, and all 5 of us played that game. It really shines, I think, at 5 players, and it was really, really fun. So that was games played. I know there's some other things, and I played some asynchronous games, a couple games of Wingspan, I think a couple games of Obsession and stuff like that. But it was a very light month, and kind of almost a little bit by design to be away. I wanted to kind of step away from board games, everything while I was traveling and just kind of let it all settle for a while. So that was intentional, and it feels good to come back now and feel like there's a lot of energy to want to play more things. So with that in mind, that's a look at things played. Next month, there'll be a lot more, I think. As always, with these monthly updates, I like to take a moment to pause and to express my gratitude and thanks to the Patreon members of the channel. All of your support for over the past couple of years has been incredibly helpful in upgrading equipment. Everything that comes in through the Patreon, I put back into the channel, whether it's camera stuff or microphones and things like that, table upgrades and all those kinds of things. All of those things have gone back into the channel. The next things I'm saving up for now, I shoot with an iPhone. I shoot with my current iPhone, and it's 4 years old, over 4 years old, and there's no space on it. So I'm constantly like swapping out things and trying to make space work on the thing, and it's just getting slower and slower. The battery doesn't last like all day right now. So that's one thing that I want to hope to upgrade in the next couple of months. And then the second thing I want to do is I want to add another camera to try to get some 2-camera things. So those are the 2 upgrades I'm hoping to add to the channel. And all of the Patreon stuff that comes in is what enables that to happen. So thank you very much to everybody who's been a member there. And on Patreon related news, I've been talking about creating a special Patreon Discord, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So that will be available to the paid Patreon supporters of the channel. We're going to have a special paid Patreon. I hope to do some gaming with that and more discussions and things like that, as well as to get some insight into things that people would like to see on the channel and all those things too. So if you have interest in that, there's links down below to the Patreon. And thank you as always to everybody who's been a supporter over the past couple of years for that. And now we come into 2 of the longer segments for the monthly update here. New and in the house. There was kind of a big month for more stuff coming in. And when I came back from the trip, there was a big pile of stuff there. And speaking of big, I want to show you one game here too. I'm just looking at all the stuff we have to talk about. But one of the reasons was there's 3 publishers that sent kind of little clutches of games. So we'll take a look at those in order. First up, Worthington Publishing sent a bunch of stuff to look at, one of which I've got on the channel already, which was War of 1812. Its brother also here, Pacific War 1942 Solitaire. So we'll be taking a look at that one shortly too. Very similar games, of course, with different themes. And then they also sent along Gettysburg, July 1st to 3rd, 1863. So this is a rather thick, big game here, which looks really fun. So this one too. So I'm interested to play that one and get a look at that one. These will all be coming to the channel at some point in time, although I'm not sure when, and given the number of things to look at. Louisburg, 1758, the solitaire game from Worthington Publishing. We're looking at that one. And then Lands of the Mesozoic, not a war game, but it's got dinosaurs. How cool is that? So I'm excited for those. Then next up, 3 things in from Nuts Publishing, their newly released Italia 1917-1918, A Farewell to Arms. This looks, this covers the Italian front in World War I for these 2 particular years. This looks outstanding. I've long wanted to take a look at that one, so I'm excited to explore that one. And another one here, Stalingrad Roads, which is a recent release from them. This, Liberty Roads and then Victory Roads, I think are the other one too in the series, which have all been really, really well. These are, they get high praise for being very playable games with fun, fast action and lots of things for both players to do. So Stalingrad Roads has been, this is the newest iteration in the series. Very excited to look at that. And then lastly, which I'm most excited to look at, this will be a series on the channel, Phantom Fury, their solitaire man-to-man combat game set in 2004, the second battle for Fallujah. So it's going to be a 3-part video series on the channel coming up right around as the game releases. This is an early prototype, so I'm going to learn how to play it and things like that. There'll be video content on this right around the game's release, which is going to be early October, I believe. I'm going to clarify the date. So this will be coming to the channel. Really curious to see how this one plays and excited to take a look at that. Another one in the house, Statecraft from Do It Games. This is set at the end of the Cold War. Game of, as you would expect, statecraft, diplomacy, politics, economics, set in that time period. This is a game too, I talk about a little bit because I think it connects to Crisis 1914. I haven't played too many large multiplayer, political type, non-combat type of games. And I really liked playing Crisis 1914. That was a really fun experience. And like Crisis 1914, I think Statecraft is going to shine the more players you get involved. So playing with like 4 players, I think is going to be really fun for this game. So I'm looking forward to getting together a group to play this one. If you are local and want to get together and play it, let me know down in the comments below. Maybe we can organize a game for this because I'd like to play it and kind of offer up some thoughts on this one. Statecraft from Do It Games. That'll be coming to the channel at some point soon too. And a new one I just created a video on. This came in just the day I came back, which is Assault on Gallipoli from Hexasim. This looks like a very tableable. I just finished reading the rules and creating the Cube for Me kit and the overview video. And now it's time to kind of get this one on the table and give it a shot. I'm excited to take a look at it. It's a really clean rule set, easy to play. Looks like it's going to really shine in 2-player. I'm going to try to give it a play on Solitaire and check it out that way. And I think it's going to work really well in Solitaire as well. This, of course, This is the Anzac part of the Gallipoli campaign in 1915 in World War I. So this looks really fun. I'm very excited. This is going to be the next thing, I think, for me on the table. They're still coming. They're still coming. There's quite a bit in the house here. 3 things from Phalanx Games: Iron, Blood, Snow, and Mud. This will eventually be a series on the channel as well. I'm really looking forward to this one. This is a Hex Encounters game, but I think it's very beginner friendly. So I think this is going to be a fast playing, quick, easy to learn game that could be really useful for bringing new people into the hobby. I like this type of a game to be able to show people. Great cover on it as well. So I'm excited to take a look at that one from Phalanx Games. And more from Phalanx Games. This is an early copy of 1920 Nest of Eagles. This covers the Polish-Soviet War from 1919 to 1921. And so Hex Encounters game set in that one, a kind of a conflict in a theater I haven't really seen covered before. I'm excited to give this one a shot and take a look at it. So this should be fun to look at too. Last but not least, and this will be the next 3-part series on the channel, is Lords of Heaven from Phalanx Games. This is an early prototype for a game that's coming to Kickstarter at the end of August. So I'll be creating a first look overview of this and then doing kind of a gameplay exposition and then doing a replay of this one. This is a game for 2 to 4 players that you play the various factions and powers that were vying for control of Jerusalem over the course of the first true crusades. Looks really cool. We've got 60 historical character cards, fortresses, temples, troops. It's the Christian Islamic factions working together and against each other. So this one looks like it's going to, I'm very curious to see how it plays. I love the topic. I love the idea and the theme of this one. And this will be coming to the channel very shortly in the course of the next month of August. So yeah, it was kind of a large month for things in the house. It's going to be a busy month in August. I'm excited to start digging in and playing a lot of these things too. So lots of fun things to explore over the course of the month. And I'm looking forward to create content for a fair number of these as we go forward in the months of August, September, and then into the fall too. I forgot one thing. How could I forget this one? Get ready, everybody. Check it out. I won't be able to talk. This is going to cover the microphone. Iron Squad. This thing is tiny. It's really small. It weighs about as much as a Volkswagen. It's really big. It's the Princeps Games' new Fog of War combat system. This probably one of the most innovative and creative and original ways to create kind of blind combat between 2 players. It's a big thing. It's heavy. It's wild, and I'm going to be creating some videos on this one coming up in August as well. More on this later. Tactical level combat where you have no idea what your opponents are going to do. It's double blind, but you can play it as 2 players with this system. So we're going to take a look, video coming up soon to take a look at that system. I'm curious to see what people think about it, and as we kind of walk through that and take a look and show what that one looks like. So how's a workout picking that one up? Okay, there's our new and in the house for the month of, for pretty much like since the end of June and July. So it's really kind of 5 or 6 weeks. Lots of fun stuff to play and dig into as we go forward into the fall. Let's now jump into the thing that I'm most excited to share with you, which is the results of the survey questions we put up on upcoming Wargames to enter into the contest. So 174 people answered these 4 or 5 different questions on that survey. The results to me were extremely surprising. I'm curious if they surprise you, and I would love to hear some of your thoughts on these results. Let's take them one at a time and walk through these. So I want to spend a little bit of time on this. The first question I asked on the survey was, do you play turn-based PC war games? Yes or no? Simple question. Before I show the results, maybe take a guess what you think, what percentage of viewers would say yes to this. I expected the answer to be probably 20 to 30%. The true answer was, and I'll put it up here, 62.9% of you said yes. So roughly 2/3 of the viewers say you play turn-based PC war games. This kind of blew me away. I thought the number would be much less. I don't know why. I don't know for what reason, but I just expected it to be a lot less. Now, a couple people made comments on the upcoming Wargames video saying, well, you know, I play Twilight Struggle turn-based, or I play Undaunted Normandy on Steam, and it's a turn-based game, and or Pax Pamir on, you know, Rally the Troops kind of thing like that. And so I think that's probably capturing a subset of the group. And in my head, when I was thinking of turn-based PC war games, I was thinking of more games that were designed specifically for the PC, not a board game turned into a PC game, right? Because there's a difference there, I think, a little bit. So that probably leads to a follow-up question was, if you play turn-based PC war games, do you play turn-based PC board war games, or you do play turn-based PC war games designed specifically for the PC, which are very different, in many cases, very, very different animals. So I'd be curious if they might do a follow-up survey at some point in time. But it does lead me to think that some more coverage of digital war games is something that would be a good idea on the channel. And again, I'm not going to stop doing board games and all those kinds of things. Nothing's going to change significantly. It's just a little bit of balance to channel content that might be a good idea to think about. So I thought that was interesting. That was the first surprising answer that I saw here. This next one surprised me a lot too. And so the question was, do you play tabletop war games more solitaire or more with other people? And you had 4 choices. I play more solitaire, I play more with other people, I play both about the same, or I don't play tabletop war games. Guess what you think the leading percentage was and what it was? More people play more solitaire, more with other people, about the same, or don't play tabletop war games. Here are the answers. Again, 68% of you said you play more solitaire. And then 20% of you said about the same, which means that 88% of you, almost 9 out of 10 viewers on the channel, play at least as much or more solitaire than they play with other people. This too blew me away. I thought it would be maybe split, like half and half and stuff like that. So this was, I thought, a fascinating result. And another nuance in this answer, right? And a number of people commented on this too. There's a distinction to be made whether you play 2-player games playing both hands, right? Playing it two-handed, playing each side, or whether you play a dedicated solitaire war game. And as I was reading this, I was thinking, oh, these are people playing dedicated solitaire war games. But a number of people drew out the comment that said, no, I like to play 2-player games solitaire, kind of thing like that. This answer does lead me to believe that there is more room to lean into kind of solitaire playthroughs or two-handed games playing both sides solitaire, to really kind of lean into that solitaire aspect. And certainly one of the things I always try to do in interviews and when I'm doing overviews and first look videos and things like that is always try to comment on how I think the game will play solitaire. So that's something, an emphasis I feel like I've had over the years of doing this channel now, but it's something I think I want to make sure I continue doing and perhaps lean into a little bit more, is really kind of tease out the solitaire capacity for all the games that we look at on the channel. So thanks again, by the way, to everybody who's put in their answers for these. These were extremely interesting, and I think they do have some messages in there for kind of balancing things on the channel going forward. Let's go to our third and fourth questions, which are kind of the same. They're getting at the same type of thing here. This was, what type of videos do you like on the channel? The picks were playthroughs, interviews, tutorials, upcoming war games and news, unique video series like the Bulge Off series, first look overviews and one thing, and then reviews. And guess what you think was the most popular answer? I'll show it to you here. The most popular answer surprised me. I wasn't expecting this. I thought playthroughs would be number 1, but the most popular answer was upcoming war games and news. But 90% of you said that was your a video that you liked on the channel. Now, survey bias, right? The survey question was on the upcoming war games and news video, right? So you have to kind of consider that when we're looking at the answers. If I put the question up on a playthrough video, the answers might be slightly tilted that way. Second, not far behind, was playthroughs. Third was reviews, and then fourth was tutorials. A somewhat more than half of was the number 5 was first looks and overviews. What did surprise me was that only 30% of you said you enjoyed interviews on the channel. Now that might be because there hasn't been many interviews on the channel. I'm not sure, but I thought that was an interesting answer. And interviews gets even more interesting when we look at the follow-up question to this was, of all these types of videos that we talked about, which is your favorite type? And guess what you thought the answer was for that? You'd think that upcoming war games and news would have been the favorite type based on the previous answer, but it actually wasn't. The favorite type of video on the channel was playthroughs. And this dovetails with a simple survey question did about a year ago that asked that type of thing. And playthroughs was the resounding reply to that answer too. However, a very close second was upcoming war games and news. Again, somewhat of a survey bias here, 33%. So kind of wargaming news and playthroughs seems to be a clear message for things that people really, really enjoy on the channel. All of the others were in a rather distant group, with tutorials getting 11%, 10% was reviews, and then unique videos like the Bulge Off series. I mean, there's only been one unique video series, so I feel like that's kind of a little bit of an answer that's quite hard for people to give. But only 3 people, 1.7% of the respondents, said interviews was the favorite type of video on the channel. So I'm not sure what all of this information from the last kind of 2 questions means. It does seem to be a resounding support for continuing doing upcoming war games and news, that video. I feel like once a month is really enough for that. That's about the right amount of content, and things tend to pile up over the course of a month in just the right amount. So I'm not going to do more of that, but definitely keep it going and think about ways maybe to improve those a little bit. And then again, I think the message really resoundingly is to try to do as many playthroughs as possible. And to be fair, those are my favorite type to create. They are also the most time consuming to create. So it's not a matter of desire, it's just a matter of capacity, really, because they take, 4 times to 5 times the amount of time that it takes me to make like a first look or an overview video and things like that. Playthroughs just take a ton of time to make. So, but hopefully more of those going forward. Reviews, just as mentioned, a little bit about reviews because it was a very popular answer. I'm a little reluctant to do full reviews of many games for the same reason as they are playthroughs. I think they take a long time to really fully review a war game. If a game has 5 or 6 scenarios, you really owe yourself, if you're going to review the game, you should play those scenarios at least a couple times each. And if you think about just how many hours it is to play those scenarios, and a lot of games too, you don't understand the game after you play it once or twice. You think about, again, going back to something we referenced earlier, Twilight Struggle. Twilight Struggle is a game whose, I think, magnificence shines after you've played it like 15 to 20 times, and you really start to get the nuances of relationships between all the cards. I think if you play that game twice or 3 times, and try to review it, it's like you're not there yet, And then games have solitaire modes or 2-player, 3-player. If it's a 2 to 5 player game, you kind of should play it with 2 players, 3 players, 4 players, and 5 players, right? If you're going to review the game. So that just feels to me like, in order to do a review justice, it's just an extraordinarily huge amount of time to review one game. And with just the number of games I want to play and the number of games kind of to look at on the channel, that feels like a big stretch. So I think I'm going to continue going with the idea of, impressions after X amount of plays and things like that, but not necessarily full reviews, except in kind of rare cases. Anyway, we've kind of meandered through all the answers to these survey questions. I'd be curious to hear any, adjacent thoughts you have as you saw these results and things like that. I do think it does give some confirmation of things that we're doing on the channel right now, and also some guidance perhaps for ways to just shift content a little bit as we go forward. And thank you, as always, to everybody who answered those questions, 174 people. And now for each of those 174 people, we're going to go in and we're going to pick our winner from those people for our $50 gift certificate to Noble Knight Games. And we're here at the moment of truth. We're going to pick our $50 store gift certificate winner to Noble Knight Games. All of our names are entered into here. We've got 174 entries. We will pick a winner at random by pressing the start button. Good luck to everybody. Here we go. Our winner is Jacob T. Alexander. So I'll reach out to you at the email address you provided in the Google survey. Congratulations to Jacob, this month's winner of our $50 store gift certificate to Noble Knight Games. There'll be another drawing in the upcoming month. So if you didn't win this month, we'll have another challenge, another giveaway coming up soon. Lastly, as we wrap up this, I thought I would talk just a couple minutes about what's coming up on the channel. Some of the games that we saw and the new arrivals will be coming too. But I've got a fairly hefty backlog of things to play and commitments I've made. So, going back to some of the earlier ones that because of the travel and because of the work situation in May and June, got a lot of fun stuff to play in the next couple of months. I mean, there's the 8th Air Force playthrough that I want to do. Looking at some of the games here, Orange Shall Overcome. There's a few others in here, some VUCA Sims games and stuff like that. So lots of things coming up on the channel over the next couple of months. And travel should be fairly limited. And now I think that I've simplified my life a little bit by kind of chopping off a number of kind of external commitments, I'm hopeful that there'll be a nice consistent run of content, which I think the channel needs dearly over the course of the next 2 to 3 months. And I am looking forward to it, recharged from the vacation. And with that, we've touched on all of the topics I was hoping to get to in this monthly update. Thank you as always for watching and for the likes and comments and subscriptions and stuff, as well as those of you that have decided to be supporters on the Patreon. Your support in whatever capacity you manage to provide it has been a great encouragement over the 3 years, a little bit over 3 years now since I put up the first tabletop wargaming video. Speaking of which, if you're interested in watching that video, here's a link to Africa Core #1. It was actually the second wargaming video. I did a little explanation of gameplay. But if you want to go back and see what the channel looked like 3 years ago with the very first tabletop wargaming playthrough, Africa Core #1 is right up here to take a look at. Look forward to seeing you in more videos. Thanks as always for all that you do. Have a great week. Bye.